want to welcome you all to the White House Champions of Change event. My name is Valerie Jarrett. I'm a Senior Policy Advisor at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. I was not supposed to welcome you today. Ophelia Bascal, our Region 9 Director at HUD from San Francisco, her flight was delayed. I expect she'll be here for the ceremony, and when she does, we'll welcome her up to the stage. In the meantime, you get me, and I'll say that not only am I thrilled to be here on behalf of HUD, but I'm thrilled to be here as a trained housing counselor, formerly from a HUD certified agency. Not that the agency's formerly HUD certified. The White House Champions of Change program is fairly new. It was started by President Barack Obama to recognize ordinary people who do extraordinary things for others. They've recognized champions in the field of child nutrition, in education, in other areas. And this is the first Champions of Change event that's been done outside the White House. The President and the White House staff realized that this event should be done where we can have an audience of counselors as well. So we're very, very happy to be here today. It's a wonderful thing to recognize 11 extraordinary individuals who you will meet shortly, one of whom you will meet on video. And reading their biographies, which are in your packets and which longer stories on the White House website, will be a very humbling experience for those of us who are not housing counselors. I hope it will be an inspiring experience for those of you who are. We're recognizing today not only these champions of change, but recognizing thousands of housing counselors working for HUD-approved agencies. Every housing counselor is a change agent, making Americans' lives better by empowering them with objective information to address their financial and housing needs in today's tough economy. On behalf of all of us at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, I want to thank you for what you do. The Obama administration is committed to provide financial and programmatic support for housing counselors at a time when millions of Americans remain confused by housing finance and feel they have fewer housing choices than ever. As they continue to be victimized by scams, the work of qualified housing counselors remains critical to the recovery of the housing market and of families affected so severely by the Great Recession. Yet I know that some of your organizations are under tremendous financial pressure just to keep your doors open and have even had to lay off wonderful housing counselors because funding has become so scarce. That is a tragedy. At HUD, we are setting up a new Office of Housing Counseling to provide dedicated support for the network of 2,600 HUD-approved counseling agencies. The President's budget for fiscal 2013 includes a request of $55 million for housing counseling grants, training, and capacity building. We know that's not enough, but it's as much as we can responsibly ask for given the pressures on the federal budget. Working with you then, we're trying to find other ways to reduce the costs that you spend because of HUD's rules and policies. In fact, there's another class of champions I want to recognize here today. That's the staff of HUD. Under the leadership of Acting FHA Commissioner Carol Galante, they are as passionate about the value of housing counseling as you are. HUD's committed to being your partner to make sure housing counselors are supported with quality training, streamlined reporting, systems that work, and programs and policy improvements based on objective outcomes analysis. Please join me in thanking the HUD staff for their commitment to the program, and I want the HUD staff to please stand up. Jerry. Thank you. And of course, those HUD staff are representative of many hundreds of others across the country who also contribute to the program. Today's really about the housing counselors, though, who are all champions of change. The White House identified 11 of them who have amazing stories to tell and who represent the value of HUD's program. I want to extend the recognition to each and every housing counselor. You are all champions of change. We are very pleased to present a proclamation to each of you that you'll hear about later for every HUD-approved counseling organization in order to recognize the important work you do day in and day out to change America for the better. Before we have Carol Galante come up to introduce our champions, and Raphael Bostic, our Deputy Assistant Secretary for Policy Development and Research, to talk to you more about the proclamation, I'd like to introduce another special part of the Champions of Change event. Valerie Jarrett has sent us a taped address via the White House. She's the Senior Advisor to President Barack Obama, holds the position of Assistant to the President for Intergovernmental Affairs and Public Engagement, and manages the White House Office of Public Engagement, the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs, Office of Urban Affairs, and chairs the White House Council on Women and Girls and the White House Office of Olympic, Paralympic, and Youth Sport. In fact, she sounds like a housing counselor wearing at least 20 different hats all at the same time. Ms. Jarrett brings greetings from the White House. If you'd please roll the tape.
Good afternoon. I'm Valerie Jarrett, Senior Advisor to President Barack Obama. I'd like to thank HUD and the NeighborWorks Training Institute for helping to make today's event possible. And I want to thank all of you for the work you do in your communities, each and every day. Throughout my career in both the public and the private sector, I've been deeply involved in housing issues, and I've seen how hard housing counselors work. You help prevent evictions and foreclosures, you help tenants understand their rights, you help borrowers repair their credit, senior citizens manage changing finances, and new buyers understand the home buying process. In short, you help make the American dream a reality. On behalf of President Obama, thanks for all the important work that you do. I know none of you do it for the recognition. You do it because your work changes lives. And with that in mind, I want to acknowledge our champions of change who represent the importance of housing counselors to our communities and our country. I hope you have a wonderful event today.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Raphael Bostic. I'm the Assistant Secretary for Policy Development and Research. It is a tremendous privilege to be here and an honor to be in your presence. You guys have done tremendous work, and it's not every day we get to acknowledge the hard work that people do in typically unsung ways, and so it's really a privilege to be here. It's also really good for me to be here because Los Angeles is my home when I'm not doing the Washington gig, so I'm really pleased to have LA be the first place that we have one of these Champions of Change events outside of Washington. And it is really, really an exciting thing. Housing counselors, the work that you all do, are so important for families, for children, for financial stability, for housing stability, for neighborhoods, and for economic growth. You run the whole gamut. And if we've seen anything through the course of this economic crisis, it's that housing and home ownership and bad decisions around housing and home ownership can have critical and devastating impacts for all of us. So the work that you do and the difference that you make is really something that is critical for all of us. And it's with that in mind, I think that it caught the White House's and the President's attention that this was a group of people that really merited some real lifting up and calling out for good work. I'm in the Office of Policy Development and Research. My group does research on a host of areas. We've been working on counseling issues since 1968, and the evidence is pretty clear that housing counseling is money spent on housing counseling is money well spent. For every dollar spent on housing counseling, my folks estimate it's over $300 worth of benefit or not loss. It's a huge bang for the buck. And when I talk about housing counseling, I challenge people to find something that's more cost effective. And so we need to always be making that case so that as we move forward, we get the sufficient and appropriate level of resources devoted to this sort of activity. I'm also pleased to be here because this is a NeighborWorks event. And as you may or may not know, HUD has a standing representative on the board of directors for NeighborWorks, and that's been me for the last year or so. And so it's been a tremendous privilege to work with NeighborWorks. They do great work in partnership with you, and so I'm really pleased to be a part of this program. My job is to stand in for my secretary. Secretary Donovan is sorry that he couldn't be here, but he felt that this was an important event, and so he is issuing a proclamation of appreciation. And it's my job to read it to you. And this proclamation will be sent to every HUD-approved housing counseling agency, and it will be something to really broadly acknowledge how important your work is to us and to the country. So let me read it. By the Secretary of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, a statement of appreciation. This statement of appreciation is given in recognition of the dedication and commitment of the housing counselors working at 2,630 HUD-approved housing counseling agencies across the nation for making a difference daily in the lives of millions of Americans. From serving on the front lines of the battle against foreclosure since the housing crisis began, to assisting homeowners and tenants to improve their housing conditions, we owe a debt of gratitude to skilled, objective, and knowledgeable housing counselors. The tireless support of housing counselors helping distressed homeowners to understand foreclosure prevention options and to avoid loan modification scams provides a lifeline to millions of families struggling to keep their home. Dedicated to serving, housing counselors educate and assist individuals and families navigate the complex process for sustainable home ownership. Guiding renters and potential homeowners in managing their housing choices, counselors provide critical information on rights and responsibilities, the importance of savings, ways to manage credit and debt responsibly, and how to be a good neighbor. Honoring the valuable contributions housing counselors offer within communities across the country and their continued commitment to outstanding service to meet the nation's housing needs, on behalf of the American people, we give a sincere thank you to housing counselors and the HUD-approved agencies that support and train them. Thank you. And now it's my pleasure to introduce a colleague and a friend, a fellow Californian, and someone who has provided tremendous leadership around issues of housing policy, not only during her time at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, but for many, many years as an affordable housing developer and as a champion for people in need. Carol Galante, the acting Assistant Secretary for Housing and FHA Commissioner. Carol.
Thank you, Raphael. First, let me thank NeighborWorks for their very generous cooperation and unstinting support here to provide the facilities for this event, staffing, helping, pulling it all together on top of all the work they were already doing, putting on the training institute. So first to Eileen Fitzgerald, the very dynamic CEO of NeighborWorks of America, thank you so much. And of course, she's supported by just a fabulous team, including Paul Keeley, Jana Bauer, Kim Honor, for all your work today. They're probably in the corners hiding somewhere, given everything that they have to do. But again, thank you so much, NeighborWorks, for helping us put this together. And again, I want to echo Sarah's thanks to the incredible HUD staff led here today by Jerry. You want to stand again, thanking on behalf of all the HUD staff who work on housing counseling, and Ruth Rahman, who's back in Washington, D.C., who is one of our fearless leaders in the housing counseling world. And last but not least, I really do want to just mention Sarah Jarrett, who was standing in here for Ophelia. Sarah has just recently joined us at HUD, and as you heard, is a certified housing counselor, really gets what HUD needs to be as a partner to housing counseling agencies. And so we are really looking forward to having Sarah help us further the work of housing counseling in a way that will really make a difference for all of you. We know it's not just about the grant dollars you receive from HUD, because we know that those dollars are much smaller than we would all like. And so we have been convening meetings across the country. In fact, we did one here in Los Angeles probably 3-4 months ago, talking directly to housing counseling agencies about what your needs are and how we can simplify rules and how we can be more helpful, again, as I said, as a partner. And I just want you to know that we get it. The HUD staff gets it, and we're advocates for you and the programs that you need, and we're going to continue to provide that work, that partnership as we go along. And I want to just mention one important initiative I can share with you today as an example of the kinds of things that we are committed to doing on an ongoing basis to make it easier for you in the application process and in reporting. And we have decided that we are going to eliminate the logic model from the So let me just say this is definitely going to apply to 2013, and we are working on, for the grants that will be awarded for 2012, we are working on eliminating it for that too, but I don't have a 100% guarantee of that yet, but we are working on it. And as I just want to say, HUD staff, the housing counseling staff, is a strong advocate for making the kind of change that you all need to be as productive as possible. The last thing I want to say about HUD counseling program before we get to the meat here, where I get to have the exciting job of introducing the champions of change, is not only do we provide grant funding, but we're also involved in approving HUD counseling agencies, as you know, and more than 100 entities apply to be certified HUD counseling agencies each year, and between 30 and 60 are approved. And we believe that our approval is a meaningful act, and that it should be acknowledged as such. If you get through that process, then it should mean something. And we, really are committed to continuing to improve that certification process so that we can ensure that we have housing counseling agencies and housing counselors that we know are going to be successful and are going to provide the kind of work that consumers need, which is, education, discipline, behavioral change, teaching people how to keep a budget, save, plan for repair, all of the rights of tenants, how not to be discriminated against, what to do if you are discriminated against, and all of these activities we know are just essential to an educated group of people who know their rights. And being a certified housing counseling agency and individual is a very important role in our society. So with that, It is my great privilege to get to introduce today the 11 housing counselors who are the embodiment of the champions of change. They come from all across the country. They work in urban areas, rural areas, with homeless families, renters, owners, seniors, families with children, and veterans. They provide unbiased advice for those thinking about buying or renting, and they provide assistance when unemployment, illness, and yes, the unfamiliar and unaffordable mortgage forces make difficult choices. They prevent eviction, they help homeless families find permanent housing, and yes, even today, they help first-time homebuyers find an affordable, responsible mortgage. I'm going to call up each champion up to the podium. I'm going to read a few words about their work, and then we're going to give them a minute or so, if they wish, to share a story or a brief piece of advice to their peers here in the room and to the Americans across the country who may be watching this event. And a much longer bio of each of the champions is in your package and will also be available on the White House website. And we will then be also giving you a letter and a picture from the President of the United States. So please remain on stage so we can take a group picture at the end as well. So with that, let me start with the first champion. Larry Douglas has been the housing program manager for the Chester Community Improvement Project in Chester, Pennsylvania for the past 13 years. As a certified HUD pre-purchase counselor, he has assisted over 650 families to fill or maintain their dream of homeownership. CCIP is a community-based, nonprofit, HUD-approved housing counseling agency whose mission is to help revitalize the city of Chester by building the base of homeownership. Larry helps accomplish one of CCIP's mission by working with families to qualify as first-time homebuyers in beautiful, newly constructed developments. As they sit together at the mortgage closing table, Larry congratulates the new homeowner and realizes that he is part of something much bigger and that helping families is his gift and passion. Congratulations, Larry.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, wow, this is just amazing. I have a lot of people to thank, but I know I have a short period of time, but I'd just like to say, give God all the glory on this. Without him in my life, I know I wouldn't be standing in front of you today, but I just thank him. And oh my God, there's so many people I would like to thank, but they know they're in my heart. When I stand before you today, I reflect on the time that I started being a housing counselor. I had one specific family that comes to mind. She actually enrolled into our Chester City's first-time homebuyers program a year after I actually started with the agency. During the time that this person was going through the process, she had her ups and downs. She had her good times and she had her bad times. I can recall one time she was in my office and we were just talking, and she was explaining a situation that was coming up, and with tears in her eyes, she said to me, "But I'm going to buy my house. I'm going to buy my house." And this client took 7 years, but she endured all that time. That client, I can tell you, she purchased her house in 2006, and she's been in her house this year going on 6 years. 6 years. I say that story because their endurance. Being a housing counselor, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have to endure a lot of things in this field. But on this day, I pray that you endure to the end. Endure to the end. I also pray that the fire and passion that you have will never fade, that you can go back to the communities that you serve and make an awesome and mighty change. Thank you.
Next is Dottie Akapamora, is a housing counselor for Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation, a nonprofit housing and service organization, and a HUD-approved housing counseling agency in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Before joining Virginia Beach CDC in 2007, Dottie worked for 19 years in residential mortgage lending, and she was a realtor for 10. In her current position, Dottie has been helping families resolve their housing issues. Some are facing foreclosures, others want to buy their first home, and others still seek suitable rental housing. Dottie enjoys helping families and bringing a wealth of knowledge about the housing and lending industry. The tough economic climate requires Dottie to understand what options exist to help her clients and to encourage them to have the patience and fortitude to meet their goals. Dottie, congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate, pardon me, all of you coming here today. Thank you, Carol. I want to thank HUD and NeighborWorks for all of the work that they do in educating all of us, in providing what we need to help families. So thank you to them. I'm very proud and very honored to be here representing you, representing housing counselors. I know the work that we're doing here, and I find it so incredibly important. I wish to thank the White House and their staff for even considering us, housing counselors, to make us champions of change and being part of their Winning the Future Across America campaign. So go to the website and look at all of these incredible people that they're honoring. It's absolutely amazing. We are in challenging times, and the roles of housing counselors in educating and guiding and assisting families is more important than ever. I thank all of you for being here, all of the housing community advocates, all of the housing counselors who are so passionate and dedicated about their work, who work tirelessly. We know the hours we put in. We know what we're going through trying to help these families to sustain. So we're going to be helping to build stronger communities, one family, one dwelling at a time. And that's what we're here to do. So over the past 4 years, I've been doing housing counseling, and I've heard many tragic stories from families who I've had the privilege to meet and to try to help them with foreclosure prevention. That is my main focus in the job that I have currently, and I'm very proud to do it. All of these stories are equally important, so it was difficult for me to pick one to tell to you today, and I'm sure you've heard many of them yourself, personal experience. But I had a couple in their mid-60s who came to me just a few months ago, and they were both receiving Social Security, and they both were still working, which I'm not surprised to hear in this current economic environment. So the husband was a chef in a local restaurant in Virginia Beach, not a chain or anything, just a local family-owned restaurant. The wife was self-employed. She was doing seamstress work, and I've come to find out her work is incredible because I've actually had her do some work for me after I met with her. They've both suffered from income reduction due to the economy. So, like many, they've been increasing their debt load, trying to sustain. They've gotten to the point where they owe more on their mortgage than their home is currently worth, so it limits what they can do to try to resolve that situation. At one point, I guess, they started missing payments, and then they realized maybe they could try to seek some help out. So they applied to their lender for a mortgage modification on their own. The husband was the only borrower listed on the mortgage. So when they got all the paperwork from the lender, they started filling it out. And they said, well, maybe we don't include the wife's income, her self-employed income on here. So they submitted all their paperwork to the lender, and they waited. And in the meantime, they were on the verge of foreclosure, and a sale had been posted. So they were very anxious, and in a panic, they went searching on the internet. Well, thank goodness they actually went to the HUD website and found the list of HUD-approved housing counselors and not a scammer, and they ended up contacting Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation, who I work for, the nonprofit I work for. So at our first 2-hour appointment, we pretty much went over everything, and I reviewed what they had sent to the lender, and I quickly determined that they had not used the wife's income at all. They were just using the Social Security and his little bit of income from the job that he had, the part-time job that it had become. So at that point, we called the lender right there and then at the meeting. And I begged the lender to wait, take a look at what was going on with their finances, and give us an opportunity to submit some documentation so that they could be reviewed for a modification. And please postpone the sale. That's always the cry now. It's please, please postpone the sale. Just give us 30 days. Just take a look at this. So with that, we were able to help prepare a new modification package with all the proper documentation. And if you're doing this kind of work, you know what a burden that is. Never mind how the homeowners are trying to do it on their own. I just have no idea. And they were able to obtain a Making Home Affordable modification, and they reduced their payment $1,000 per month. So, although this is more than the national average, they tell us, of what people are getting with this program, it does reflect the lender's willingness to assist with payment affordability, home retention, once given an accurate picture of what these people's sustainability was. So I'm very happy for that. I'm very glad to be doing the work. This family had an additional challenge in trying to negotiate through this whole paperwork mess and trying to get some kind of a modification. They're Asian immigrants, and English is not their first language. They did not understand what was going on, what was being asked of them, what to fill out on the paperwork even was a task to them. So I'm really happy that they did come to me, and I really, truly hope that more American families will seek out HUD-approved housing counseling agencies and the work that we do. We are saving folks. We really are. So with that, I thank you all, and I thank you, champions, for the work you do.
Thank you so much, Dottie. Ophelia, why don't you come on up here? We have Ophelia Bascal, our regional administrator from Region 9 in San Francisco, who has arrived, who can help give out the certificates with me. So the next housing counselor is Charlotte O'Donnell, who manages a HUD-approved housing counseling program at Colorado Housing Assistance Program in Denver, Colorado. She's been engaged in housing counseling and education for 25 years, including many different roles in nonprofit and private sector initiatives. Charlotte's years of experience lead her to seek out valuable partnership opportunities to help families in their community. She has worked closely with the Colorado Mortgage Lenders Association, the Foreclosure Task Force, the Colorado Blue Ribbon Panel, Housing Colorado, Colorado Housing Finance Authority, and other organizations throughout the state. Through these connections, the positive impact of housing counseling is regarded highly by the private sector stakeholders such as lenders and realtors, and CHAC is able to offer more assistance. Congratulations, Charlotte.
I know this is a special event because I'm actually wearing high heels today. So. Thank you so much. Thank you to HUD, thank you to the Denver HUD office, and thank you to the White House Champion of Change initiative. This is truly touching for all of us. Yes, I've been in this industry for 25 years. I have done it all. I've seen it all. I've heard it all. I've heard it at these NeighborWorks events. I've heard it at our HUD roundtable discussions. I've heard it in the back offices. I've heard it in the front offices. And many of us have stories to share which are important to hear. I've been a housing counselor. I've managed housing counseling programs, and I've actually even created HUD-approved counseling agencies when needed in the Colorado area. I've also been fortunate enough to be involved in the private sector, and as expressed before, my passion was to bring housing counseling and education into the front offices of many private sector partners, such as lenders and realtors. We know we do an important job here. Each of us know our successes every day when we sit in our offices and we meet with that family or that individual with children, with a spouse, with a brother or a sister, and they're talking about their request for foreclosure prevention, or they're talking about pre-purchase counseling. What I'm proud to say, as my passion was, is to make the private sector and other partnerships with affordable housing initiatives to recognize our value, what we bring to the table. We do affect each family, each household, each community. Every day we do this counseling services. We should never forget this effort that we put forth. I'd like to just say thank you on behalf of my Colorado housing and counseling colleagues, and I also like to say thank you on behalf of all housing counselors sitting here and nationally. On behalf of all of them, I truly thank you so much. This is such a wonderful honor after 25 years.
So our next champion is Ruben Andere, Jr., who joined NeighborWorks Waco, a HUD-approved housing counseling agency and a member of the NeighborWorks network in March 2008, where he currently serves as a bilingual homeownership specialist providing superior pre-purchase counseling and education for future homeowners, as well as working extensively with existing homeowners facing foreclosure. Throughout the past 4 years, he has counseled over 500 families in the state of Texas, where he remains a strong and compassionate advocate for families. Ruben also serves as the senior pastor at Family of Faith Worship Center. He has served on a variety of nonprofit boards in the community relating to the areas of education, mentoring, early childhood development, hunger, homelessness, and fatherhood. Ruben is the former executive director for the Central Texas Fatherhood Initiative. In 2009, he received his NeighborWorks certification in foreclosure prevention and default counseling. Congratulations, Ruben.
Good evening, everyone. I, too, want to first of all thank God for orchestrating this special moment in my life. It has truly been a humbling experience for myself, not only when I was notified about a little over a week ago that I would be receiving this award. I was also notified several days ago that I was the only counselor out of all the NWOs for NeighborWorks America. And so that is truly humbles. And so I say to all of you who are housing counselors and part of the NeighborWorks America network that this is for you as well. Because I truly do understand what we all go through day in and day out. I do remember a particular counseling session that was one of those hectic moments which you all probably can relate to. And I completely forgot that our president and CEO, Mr. Roy Nash, who's here at the front, his office is just a few feet from my office. And I cried out and I said, they just don't pay me enough to do this job. And so I guess he heard that and nominated me, and so here I am today. So it does pay. With that being said, I want to thank the White House for this recognition, this award. I want to thank NeighborWorks America. I want to thank my employer, NeighborWorks Waco, Mr. Nash, and what can I say about the great state of Texas? Just thank everyone from the top to the bottom who made this all possible. I do too have a short story that I like to share real quickly. It's about a veteran who came into my office about a year and a half ago, and he too had experienced a reduction in income based on the economy, and now was on disability and VA benefits. But unfortunately, he came to my office after he had spent $2,500 and got scammed by a loan scam organization. We were not able to obviously recuperate any of that money that he lost, But I'm happy to say that after several months, we were able to secure a workable solution, that being a loan modification for this veteran and his wife. And so one thing that I know that has helped me is those successful moments. And I'm sure that we all have those frustrating moments as counselors, and we want to throw in the towel. I'm going to tell you this evening that it takes a special person to be a foreclosure intervention counselor. Yes, it does. As you heard in my bio, I am also privileged and humbled to serve as a senior pastor back in Texas. And so I, from day to day, utilized my pastoral skills to be able to facilitate these counseling sessions. And I'm telling you that I've heard it from being suicidal to marriage and divorces, and you name it. It's all been in my office. But it's always good to hear the stories such as this veteran when he quoted, after being interviewed several weeks later, that if it was not for a HUD-approved counseling agency such as NeighborWorks Waco, that perhaps him and his family would be living under a tree in a tent. And that just brings great joy and satisfaction to me, because when I do have those moments when I think that, man, what am I doing? This is not working, and we all know that the response from the services is delayed. It's moments like that when you see the individual walk out of your house and say, thank you so much, what can I do? And so I just want to, again, thank everyone who had part in this, and again, for just the opportunity to be able to serve the families across America, because many of them have had the opportunity to obtain the American dream, but many of them have lost that American dream through foreclosure. But thanks to HUD for the funding, and everyone else, as I said, for the opportunity to continue to serve families across America. Thank you.
I would next like to welcome Helen Taylor. Helen is Program Director and Comprehensive Housing Counselor at Northeast Denver Housing Center, a HUD-approved housing counseling agency in Colorado. With 13 years' experience in the mortgage industry and over 10 years of direct service in housing counseling, Ms. Taylor has also held leadership positions in the industry and has served 2 terms as treasurer for the Colorado Housing Counseling Coalition. Helen has earned the reverse mortgage counseling certification, which required her to pass a very rigorous national exam. Helen is grateful for programs such as Making Home Affordable, the Emergency Home Loan Program, and the Neighborhood Stabilization Act that have stabilized the community, and for helping so many worthy families remain in their home. Helen?
Good evening, everyone. I'm a little shy, so yeah, my family doesn't think so. I feel like I'm getting the Oscar, okay? So thank you, Jesus, okay? And I really would like to thank HUD for eliminating that logic model. Thank you. I stumbled up on this position, and I'll be honest with you, I've never heard of a housing counselor and what they did. And when I found out what they did, I just went for it, and I've been doing this for 10 years. As a housing counselor, we are mediators. We're advocates, we're a resource, and we're a friend to these clients. I have clients that I've seen for 8 years. They still call me, they refer other people to me, and they just call to say hello. That is priceless. Housing counselors, you guys deserve kudos. We all do. So thank you. Thank you guys for recognizing us. And it's been a long time coming. All right.
Thank you, Helen. I guess it is like an Oscar. We're here in Los Angeles, you know, the home of Oscars. So our next champion is Hee-Joo Jun, is the program director at Korean Resource Center, a national coalition for Asian Pacific American Community Development, HUD, a HUD-approved organization, which serves predominantly low-income, limited English proficient Korean American immigrants. Hee-Joo joined the staff at KRC in January of 2005 after working nearly 12 years as a volunteer. She brings over 2 decades of experience in strategic planning, program planning evaluation, capacity building, fiscal management, fundraising, community outreach, and management of multicultural teams and projects. At KRC, Hee-Joo manages workshops on foreclosure prevention, housing counseling, volunteer income tax assistance, and credit education, as well as individual counseling for hundreds of community members every year. Hee-Joo served as the National Executive Director of Korean Americans for Peace and Justice, as well as a board member of Keju Food Co-op, and is a member of the Han-Nuri Korean American Cultural Troupe. Congratulations, Hee-Joo. And I think she has some family here.
It really is an honor to be here today. Back in 2008, the Los Angeles Korean American community was seriously hit by the foreclosure crisis, and there's no place people could turn to for assistance. With an almost 30-year history, the Korean Resource Center has always been rooted in the community, here to address problems and work with the community. In this case, it was important for us to invest in training and education of staff in order to launch a housing counseling program to respond to our growing community need. Today, we are proud to serve as a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, but this does not mean our work is done. Every day, we meet homeowners whose fears of losing their homes are made worse because of the language barrier. It is not easy for limited English proficient homeowners to communicate directly with their lenders and get in-language information. What we know is that Korean American and immigrant homeowners strive to work hard, pay taxes, and raise their children to become the next generation of leaders in this country. What we see is that many of them instead experience of the unbearable pain of the losing their American dream. That is not how anyone in this country should live. The language access is a right for everybody, and a home and financial security should be possible for everyone. Serving my community as a certified housing counselor has been a rewarding experience for me. In my own way, I try to bridge the barriers Korean Americans face, and through in-language counseling, I'm hoping to change an individual situation from a nightmare to the American dream. Thank you.
So our next champion is Tahi-Ji Crenshaw, is the Director of Housing Programs at Community Action Program of Evansville and Vandenberg County, Inc., a HUD-approved housing counseling agency. Over the past 10 years, Tahi-Ji has assisted over 8,500 families with rental housing and homeownership issues, including foreclosure prevention. She facilitates group counseling as well as individual counseling to families in 12 counties in Indiana. Tahiji currently serves as one of 7 commissioners to the Indiana Civil Rights Commission, appointed by Governor Mitch Daniels, and she is a member of the Indiana Civil Rights Education Steering Committee, Evansville Vandenberg School Corporation Multicultural Committee, and a board member of the Evansville Community Redevelopment Partnership. She is interested in housing as a basic right and also a means to grow sustainable, healthy communities. Congratulations, Tahiji.
Good evening, everyone. I come from a vast area, just like my colleagues and yourself. I used to be a debt collector, amongst other things, legal and good. But I got out of debt collection because I wanted to go to heaven, so. Let me start by saying it's an honor and privilege to be amongst the chosen in our field. I graciously accept the honor of being recognized as a White House champion of change. I want to thank President Obama and his administration for their commitment on resolving the foreclosure crisis here in America. I would also like to thank the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, NeighborWorks America, our state housing finance authorities and local city governments and municipalities for providing exceptional training, certification, networking opportunities, and supportive services to all housing counseling agencies and counselors across the country. The work that housing counselors do could not be achieved without the strong commitment from all of these agencies. I would also like to thank my organization, the Community Action Program of Evansville and Vandenberg County Incorporated, the Board of Directors, and the Chief Executive Officer, Alice Weathers, for having the faith in our staff and support to continue forward to provide quality services to our homeowners in need. I've been asked by many people why I do what I do for strangers, and better yet, for people who at times can't do for themselves. I respond as it's a moral obligation to assist those in need, as we would want assistance. Those of us without struggles at the present time or at the present moment are quick to assume that people with struggles deserve so because of their current social conditions. How soon do we forget that many of us are just a social condition away from disaster? You must keep in mind, at times, life deals a hand that we cannot always grasp. By helping one, we are helping each other to become successful and whole. When much is given, much is expected. It is my wish to give 1,000% to assisting homeowners with keeping their American dream. By doing so, we can help to sustain strong communities, families, and positive relationships. That is why we, as housing counselors, do what we do. Thank you. God bless.
Imagine how you feel if you're the last one who's So our next champion is Terry Galligan. He is the housing director at Old Pueblo Community Services in Tucson, Arizona, a HUD-approved housing counseling agency and a member of the Rural Community Assistance Corporation network. He has over 20 years of experience working for nonprofits and currently manages a number of programs that help families secure quality housing, including housing counseling for homeowners facing foreclosure and the acquisition and rehabilitation of existing homes. Terry has helped over 2,500 first-time homebuyers purchase a house and has overseen the construction of 300 new homes and 318 new apartments in Tucson and southern Arizona. He has seen up close the effect the housing crisis has had on his community, and he is grateful for his role in mitigating its impact. Congratulations, Terry.
Gracias por este honor. I want to make sure you guys were still awake. The gringo from Tucson does speak some Spanish. So this is a great honor in all seriousness. I want to thank the White House and HUD, NeighborWorks, and RCAC, Rural Communities Assistance Corporation. I also want to thank my staff and people back in Tucson, Nick Jones, Francis Salcido, Richard Hunter, Pam Lohman, Anna Marie Patty. These are all people, as you know, it's a team effort. When we're doing this work, you really rely on your colleagues to get this work done. And if you don't have friends at work, then it's really hard to get the work done. So I want to thank them. Right now, I just feel that this is a great time for us to reach out and help people, because I think, as we all agree, the housing crisis is not over. And I think it's a great mistake that Congress has decided to cut HUD housing counseling when they're still in the midst of this crisis, because really the work that we do, we're a beacon of hope to the people in our communities. And I've seen families devastated with foreclosure that if we weren't there, what would they do? Where do they turn? So I just feel like it's a great privilege to be up here with all these other champions. And I want to thank all of you for the great work you do, and I want to thank everybody for this great honor. Thank you.
Our next champion is Sheila Reddick. She is a homeownership housing counselor coordinator for the Jonesboro Urban Renewal and Housing Authority, a HUD-approved housing counseling agency and community development organization in Jonesboro, Arkansas. She has been in this position for the past 7 years and serves as both counselor and coordinator, and provides all housing counseling and education services, including one-on-one meetings with each client to go over assets, liabilities, development of a budget, and registration for class. Sheila has been particularly successful in using partners such as lenders, realtors, title companies, insurance agencies, appraisers, and home inspectors to help her deliver the right training, and also using all available resources for her clients, such as Section 8 Housing Choice Vouchers, home ownership assistance, USDA Rural Development Direct Loans, local CDBG new home ownership grants, Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas help funds, and Arkansas Dream Down Payment Initiative funds. There's a lot of layering financing there. Anyway, congratulations, Sheila.
Hey, y'all. Well, people that know me never see me at a loss for words, but when I got that email, people were saying, how do you feel? And I was going, overwhelmed. But this is great. I do thank everybody involved. I thank NeighborWorks, and I thank HUD, and I thank the White House. And I'm going to tell you that I think a new day has broken for the HUD-approved housing counseling agencies in the United States of America today. It's time that we step out from behind the veil. It's time that we be bold, because believe me, the scammers are bold, okay? We need to get out there and we need to talk to our partners, develop our partners. We need to let everybody that we can know what we're doing, and that we're doing it for free, and that we are doing it because we have to be certified, and we're being monitored by that. We're doing it honest and effectively. And we need to get to these people, because let me tell you, the scammers are getting to them. So we need to do that. I didn't know really what I was going to say. As you can tell, I'm kind of off the cuff. But we landed into Los Angeles yesterday morning, and we were in the shuttle on the way to the hotel, and I decided to turn my cell phone back on because I'd had it off on the plane. And I turned it back on, and I had a text message from a number that I did not recognize. Obviously knew it was a Jonesboro number, but I didn't have a name attached to it. And it said, "Thank you for changing my life and the lives of my kids. You deserve this. Saw it in the news. You have helped so many people. Thank you." And that's why I do it. I had to send a message back and say, "You are very welcome, and who are you?" and she told me what her name was. And she's one of the first people that I helped. She was on our family self-sufficiency program through the Housing Authority. One of her goals was home ownership. And I helped her with that and helped her to purchase her home. She was a single mom, going to school, working with 2 children. And she remembers. She remembers. And that's really why I do it. And I just want to say to all the housing counselors out there in the United States of America, I'm here to say thank you for each and every day that you work with people, that you share their dreams, you give them a glimmer of hope, and you believe in them. Be honest with them, be genuine with them, and good things will happen. Thank you very much.
And I think last but not least, from Orange County here, California. So Californians are a little rowdy. Stella Matadama is a certified foreclosure intervention counselor and housing coordinator for Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Orange County, a National Foundation for Credit Counseling member, and HUD approved housing counseling agency located in Santa Ana, California. In this role, she counsels one-on-one clients and facilitates foreclosure prevention workshops. Stella is a founding member and a board member of the Orange County Homeownership Preservation Collaborative, a partnership of nonprofit, government, and business leaders committed to preserving and promoting the dream of homeownership. Stella has worked in the nonprofit housing arena as an organizer, counselor, and loan processor for more than 17 years. She began her career as a community organizer, just like our president, at a neighborhood housing services of Orange County. Stella was recognized as a 2007 Latino Orange County 100, 2011 Women Making a Difference, and 2011 Charging Rhino through the California Reinvestment Coalition. And she's received other awards or certifications through National Council of La Raza and NeighborWorks America. Congratulations, Stella.
You guys didn't leave me nothing. As you can see, it helps to have a good sense of humor when you're doing this business, and I think we've proven that here tonight. I usually wing it, but I decided I really don't want to mess up tonight, so I wrote some stuff down. You guys, yeah, the guys that know me. First of all, thank you. I want to thank those that actually submitted my name, Lupe Hernandez from NeighborWorks America. All the team at Santa Ana, the HUD Santa Ana Homeownership Center, Jerry Mayer, Charles, and I saw Ray come in, and just thank you very much. It was very shocking. It is an honor, but it was exciting, humbling, and unexpected. But I must admit, it feels really good. Being a housing counselor is not easy, as any counselor here tonight can tell you that. Providing much needed relief to those in need, there's nothing else like it. It's kind of like raising a child. You have a lot of bad days and you have a lot of good days. You laugh and you cry. But it is, I applaud all of you here tonight that have been doing this work for some time. And for you new counselors, keep at it. I know it's hard. Don't give up. Eventually you'll be good at it. I think back to when I started, when all of this unfortunate foreclosure stuff happened back in '07, there was no MHA. There was no loan modifications, and good luck finding a loan mod department because it just didn't exist. It was a pretty tough time for all of us. We've come a long way since then, but unfortunately there's still a lot of work to be done in our field. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the agency I work for, Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Orange County, who always allow me, without question or hesitation, or whatever crazy idea I have, they allow me to do the work that I do, and be able to help the families that I serve. And especially to my family and to all my friends and colleagues here tonight who've always supported me throughout these years. And I want to accept this recognition on behalf of all the housing counselors. It is about time that we've gotten recognized because we do a lot of hard work. So I applaud all of you here today that are doing this work and my fellow champions. Thank you.
So we do have one last person who could not be here. I'm going to read her bio, and I think we have a little video of thanks or recognition from her. Stephanie Steen serves as Director of Financial Services at Brighton Center, a Northern Kentucky private social services HUD-approved counseling agency that offers opportunities for individuals and families to achieve self-sufficiency. Over 10 years, Stephanie led financial services to develop a full continuum of financial service programs, including foreclosure intervention, prevention, home ownership, reverse mortgage counseling, individual IDA accounts, budget and credit counseling, and volunteer income tax assistance site services. Stephanie has engaged in banking, lending, insurance, and many local business leaders and volunteers to serve over 2,000 individuals in 2011. Stephanie is proud of the hard work and passion that drives families to seek solutions to their financial goals, and she is proud of her colleagues who have risen to meet the great needs. Congratulations to Stephanie. Unfortunately, due to an illness in her family, she was unable to attend, but has sent this video acceptance in her honor.
First learned about the honor of being selected a champion in change, I was thrilled and literally quite speechless. Then I was proud of my team for all their hard work and dedication that has contributed to this award. This award is about the families that we serve and the impact that we've made in their lives. I'm also proud to represent an agency that is supported and trusted by HUD to offer struggling families hope for their future through our continuum of services. I'm thankful for our local partners, the lenders, the bankers, the many volunteers, and the local business owners that have offered resources to us, and they deserve our gratitude always. For 45 years, Brighton Center has offered individualized options with respect of diverse values and the right for individuals to make their own choices. This has influenced our service framework we now call a Financial Opportunity Center. Our structure allows us to provide highly effective reinforcement of services that draw people of any critical need into a broad selection of supports, ranging from food, shelter, and clothing to financial education and workforce training. I am gratified for this opportunity to showcase financial services and Brighton Center and perhaps influence these collaborative models of service. Thank you so much.
So we're going to take a group photo here in just a minute, and Ophelia is going to close out the program for us. But I just want to conclude my own remarks by saying these folks are clearly extraordinary, and we thank them for their courage to come here today and to stand up and share their stories. It's very, very important. So let's give a round of applause for the Champions Collective. So we have Sarah and Raphael come on up. We're going to do this group photo, and then we're going to close out in a few more remarks. So last thing before I turn this over to Ophelia Pascal to close it out, I do want to say, as I mentioned, these are extraordinary people. They've told their stories. They represent clearly, however, housing counselors all across this country. And we would love it if you would share your stories as well. There is a whitehouse.gov website or at HUD.gov or Twitter through Facebook. But however you can share your stories, I think, as you've heard today, getting the word out about what housing counselors do and the help that they provide to people is a big inspiration and a hope for those in need. So please share your stories as we go forward here. Thank you all very much, and I'll turn it back to Ophelia.
Well, good evening, all of you, and I'm so sorry that I wasn't here to be able to give the opening remarks. I'm not exactly sure. Many of you come from areas of the country where there's a lot of snow and things on the ground, and I'm looking out the window in San Francisco, and there's a little bit of fog, and the airport shuts down. It's like, people, this is not weather, let me tell you. But I am glad that I got here for the most important part of the program, which was to hear, as Carol said, these extraordinary stories of these 11 champions who are doing such great work and are really just representatives of all of you who are out there. All of you are champions. You know, I don't think probably since the 1930s that there has been a time when the kind of work that you do has been so important. One of the things that I've been thinking about, and Carol was sort of alluding to some of the technology and ways to tell your story. Americans are great with ingenuity, and I'll bet you the settlement hadn't been announced 20 seconds and there were people out there already figuring out how to scam. And that's why it's so important that you tell the work that you do, that Congress understands the value of how you help people not be scammed, how you help people figure out whether they're really at a point in their lives where they're ready for home ownership. And you know, that kind of work is really, really critical. You are all so exceptionally well trained, and you know, I know that there's a lot of things that you go through when you do this kind of work, but I was thinking about, there's a great proverb that I love that says, when you make choices, when you choose a path about where you go in life, choose the path with heart. And obviously you have all chosen the path with heart. And I think it was Sheila who said that, you know, there's a new day dawning for housing counseling. And I have to tell you, I've known Carol Galante for many more years than we'll say. And she and the great team at the Santa Ana Hawk, and I'm sure that other Hawks throughout the our country that work with HUD, you know, this is a new day. This is people focused on how to streamline these programs and how to make them more effective and how to really work with you all as the kind of partners that we want to be so that we're really effective in delivering the services to the communities of the kind of work that you do. So my congratulations to the 11 champions and to all of you for all the work that you do. And I hope you've had a great session. And also let me thank NeighborWorks for letting us share this venue with them for this important program. So thank you all so much.